Every time I see Willem Dafoe acting, I always think of the Green Goblin, and I just expect him to shout and look just like the Green Goblin. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today I'm talking about director Hector Babenco's last film, My Hindu Friend, starring Willem Dafoe. Now, if you don't know about the movie, trust me, it was relatively unknown to me as well, until I got an awesome email saying, hey, do you want to watch this film? And I'm like, of course I want to watch a movie with Willem Dafoe. It wasn't really great outside of Willem Dafoe. Now, we'll dive into that in a little bit. If this is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James. Now, if you're wondering who that is, that's me, and I love talking about movies each and every week, so I drop a new video for you guys, well, each and every week. So you don't want to miss out, especially on a video I'm dropping this week, my 10 worst films of 2019. It's gonna be really fun. Go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and don't miss anything that I drop by hitting the little notification bell right next to it. I love you guys so much because you like and you share every review, so please keep doing that, and in the comments below, let me know, what's your favorite Willem Dafoe performance? Okay, so let's waste no more time and dive right into My Hindu Friend. Now, this movie is not very happy, so if you have a weak stomach, you're probably not gonna wanna watch it, and it's a little uncomfortable to watch with children, so keep the kids at home, and you're gonna wanna watch this with some more mature friends. But the film really is more about director Hector Babenco himself. He is basically the character of Diego, played by Willem Dafoe, a famous director who really is in love with cinema and wants to keep making movies, but he's fighting cancer. And unfortunately, he gets a bad prognosis from the doctor, telling him, hey, you can do a bone marrow transplant, you might not live, or you can just cancel the chemotherapy altogether, and you only have 3 months to live. So Diego goes through the cycles of depression, of anxiety, of feeling happy and feeling sad, and we are basically taken along for the ride each and every scene. It's really intense. So let's start there. The movie itself has a ton of potential to be one of the better dramas of 2020. Even though it went on the festival circuit in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, it got its limited theater run this year. And Willem Dafoe turns in an amazing performance, and it pretty much starts in the beginning because he's just crying in the mirror alongside his wife. Boy, it was just so emotional, and I don't want to say I cried, but I was so into the performance that I thought, okay, the rest of this film is going to be amazing. As a fan of Willem Dafoe, I pretty much know what to expect, which are really emotionally charged performances where he gives it his all. And you can tell that he bought into the script 110%. The guy was just firing on all cylinders, and he really is the best part of this film. Now, that's not to discredit his co-star Maria Fernanda Cândido. Wow, she does a great job playing the role of his wife, going through thick and thin with him literally. And there were moments that made me mad. Now, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I was pretty much on her side, especially towards the end of the film. And that's the thing about Willem Dafoe's performance. It's very layered. He goes from a guy who you really empathize with, to a guy who you're mad at, to a guy who you kind of feel bad for. Well, there were some things he did in the film that made you feel emotions, and that's what's really important about this movie, and pretty much where the film peaks is when you get to that middle of the film, you think, okay, this is a very solid story. Now, what's the rest of the film gonna look like? Because you have an hour left at that point. And unfortunately, that's where the movie kind of goes downhill. I was not convinced by the dialogue, especially as the film wore on. It was almost like a chore to get through. It just felt for me that the script was a little lacking, and it felt lazy, especially in scenes that were just set up for Willem Dafoe. Pretty much nobody else besides him was really fleshed out too well. Now, I know I mentioned earlier that the film is not very comfortable to watch, and My Hindu Friend gets a little too uncomfortable in moments, and I'm not so sure it aids the film. See, there are movies that put you in uncomfortable situations, and it works. But in My Hindu Friend, I felt they were just kind of over-sexualizing women, and maybe the movie kind of leaned into that too heavily, especially in the second half, to where I just didn't really care for what I saw on screen, and I kind of wanted to just get back to bare bones acting with Willem Dafoe. Now, it's not very consistent with its tone. There's one moment where it feels dramatic, then it kind of turns into this weird dark comedy, and then Hector Babenco introduces elements of the story that I'm like, yes, continue with this, please. There are a couple of scenes where Willem Dafoe is pretty much trying to entertain this other young boy who has cancer, and it's so genuine, it's incredibly heartfelt, and I wanted more of that, but I didn't get that. Instead, we got weird sequences where Willem Dafoe, I guess the medication was really making him hallucinate, and he was seeing death, or a guy who was portraying death, and for me, I felt weirded out because that character who, I guess, resembled death had this weird lady who she was very old. Now, her age isn't an issue, but it's what she was wearing or wasn't wearing. And unfortunately, those breaks in the narrative really created a very disjointed story where I knew what the director wanted to achieve, he just didn't get there for me, and the film suffered as a result. But like I keep saying, My Hindu Friend has an amazing performance by Willem Dafoe, a very layered approach, and I love seeing him in these art house, visceral roles. The only thing is, it's the rest of the film that doesn't really bring it together for me. You have really weird writing, jarring moments that kind of break up the story too much, and then the editing is a little poor as well. Am I grateful that I got to see Willem Dafoe act his butt off? Of course. Do I wish it were maybe in a movie that was better as a whole? Yeah. But I would say if you are a fan of art house movies, if Willem Dafoe really is your cup of tea, go out there and watch it. Just don't watch it with grandma, grandpa, and your children, or cousins. It gets a little weird. Now, before I head on out of here, don't forget to hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on the bell right next to it. Like this video, share it with all of your friends, and in the comments below, let me know, have you seen this film? And if you have, what do you think? And don't forget, I'm dropping my 10 worst movies of 2019 this week. I'm excited to talk to you guys about that. Got a little hairball. Again, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.